Hello and welcome very much to this, the second Wigan Warriors Fans TV Masturbate. And tonight we're going to be masturbating the following motion, which is a win at Wembley is worth 2 at Old Trafford. If you missed the last one, our first masturbate, it was the motion was in 2019, Wigan fans should lower their expectations. And that debate was won by the against team, the Wigan runner, and David Bailey. And you missed some absolute gems of quotes. You missed the following quotes from last time. It's the most exciting time since 2 years ago. Everything heads to Sean Edwards. Sack the coach. What have I just watched? My helmet was on. And my personal favourite, that man is just huge, and I cannot believe his age. That one delivered by Stuart Minnis, who can't be with us tonight because he's serving a one-match ban for ungentlemanly conduct. But don't worry. We've got 2 great teams. On the 4 team tonight, we've got Sean Lawless and David Bailey. And on the against team, we've got Gareth Davis and Mark Illingworth. And just to recap, the way it works is each speaker has 5 minutes to state their case. The first minute is protected, nobody can interrupt. But at the end of the first minute, they will hear this sound. When you hear the nay, interrupt away. And that is when members of the other team can then interrupt. But they've got to do it properly. They've got to say, hold my pie, so that the speaker can decide whether he wants to hear it or not hear it. Then at the end of the 4th minute, when you hear the moo, it's just you, no more interruptions. And at the end of the 5th minute, when you hear the cop, it's time to stop. And so without any further ado, I'll introduce our first speaker, Mr. Sean Lawless. Hello, Sean.
Thanks, Matt. It's weird being on a different side.
Sean, welcome to my show.
Letting you run. Thank you.
Are you ready with your speech?
Yeah, I think so. Yep. Yeah, I think so, Matt. I think I'm ready to go.
And on the other team, Gareth, Mark, are you ready to interrupt after 1 minute?
Absolutely.
Good. Remember, you've got to say, hold my pie. Okay, Sean, your 1 minute, so your 5 minutes starts now.
Right, okay, so a win at Old Trafford is great. It's the pinnacle of many seasons for many clubs. I don't disagree with that. And before I sound like Stuart Minnis, I am arguing that a win at Wembley is worth 2 at Old Trafford. So don't get excited, Mark, I'm not on your side. However, it has been the pinnacle for 4 teams. That's 4 teams in 21 seasons. In fact, only 6 teams have ever experienced a grand final. In the same time, we've had double that. 8 different teams win the Challenge Cup and 12 teams competing in those finals. In fact, every team in Super League this year, except one, has been in the Challenge Cup final in the past 20 years. Do you know who that team is? Poor little Wakefield. On Salford. Okay. This might be fake news and rubbish facts. So yeah, 10 teams out of the 12 have been to Wembley. I'm sure Salford went there on a day trip in 2012, so we'll count that one. So last year, Catalans won the Challenge Cup for the first time, a team that finished 8th in Super League and therefore had no chance of being at Old Trafford. Not only was a win at Wembley historic, it has paved the way for a Super League game now to be played at the Nou Camp. Again, showing the superiority between the competitions. The Challenge Cup is helping Super League to secure a game in one of the biggest stadiums, possibly the biggest stadium. I don't know. I've not checked it out at the Nou Camp. Not only is a win at Wembley worth more, it's also guaranteed to be more exciting. In the past 20 years, the Challenge...
Yeah. Surely you should have done some research on this stuff rather than just make it up as you go along.
No, there's loads of research coming, Matt, honestly. Like, this is just about to be a stat.
It's clearly written it down.
I've clearly written it down. Yeah, I'm prepared. I made a hat. Can you not see? Stop wasting my time. Not only is a win at Wembley worth more, it's also guaranteed to be more exciting. In the past 20 years, the Challenge Cup has seen 825 points scored. That's an average of 41 points per game. And say a ticket for a final is 45. That's pretty much a pound per point. Away you go, Mark.
It was well exciting when the team that had the game that had the most points put up the other year, when it was 50 points to Leeds Rhinos against Hull KR. That was thrilling.
It will have been for a Leeds fan. Now compare that with the snooze fest of the grand final. A measly 668 points have been scored, an average of 30 points. 33 points per game, again costing you £1.20 per point at the grand final. Now, we all know if you're from Yorkshire, that extra 20p means a lot. So that is at least 20% greater than the grand final. So you could say a win at Wembley is worth... Away you go.
What's not great about Wembley then? Because that's what your at's telling me. There's something broken that you need to fix. How's it working?
I'm going to get to that in a second. Honestly, you're just way ahead of yourself. So then you've got history, 8 in a row and all that. Nobody says, remember that Martin Gleeson try in 2010. I mean, don't get me wrong, both of his tries were good, and the win in 2010 was obviously special, but you're far likely to strike up a conversation about the Afire try, the Henderson Gill try, or heaven forbid, even that Joel Tompkins try.
Hold my pie.
Away you go.
Everything you're talking about, other than the Joel Tompkins one, is 20, 30 years ago. The game's moved on. The sport's moved on.
Can I just ask you the question? Where were those tries scored?
At Wembley, old Wembley.
Yeah, thank you. So memories created at Wembley last a lifetime. Memories created at Old Trafford last until the next January. The opposing side is going to, I have no doubt, talk about attendances. Well, the 2018 grand final saw an attendance of just under 65,000. Matt, how long have I got left? You've not played any music, have you?
Hang on.
That's never just been a minute.
You've got a minute left.
All right, okay. 15. So the opposing side is going to talk about the attendances, 65,000, blah, blah, blah. But basically, over the last 10 years, there's been, if you compare all the averages, all the attendances, on average, there's been 15,000 more people at Wembley than Old Trafford. And don't give me all this rubbish about Club Wembley that they might get to it. They were paying seats. They paid for it. They might not have physically been there. They might not have mentally been there, but they paid cash to somebody, probably the FA. They were there. Don't interrupt me. So the key was they were pre-sold. They also have the TV audience, which was ring-fenced. It's for the BBC. The grand final's not for the BBC. It's for those that can afford to pay on Sky. It's restricted audience. Why is the Challenge Cup for the wider audience? It's because it is the best. And I don't need this hat because we don't need to make Wembley great again, Mark, like you said. It already is great. I'm hoping that there's only 3 more seconds left, Matt, because I'm going to have to go and get my piano out.
When you hear the clock. Okay. Thank you very much. And I've just made a decision, by the way. I will interrupt if there's misbehaviour. In fact, I'm going to call it menacing behaviour. So I will, from now on, interrupt if I see any menacing behaviour. So breaches of the rules or anybody being naughty.
Who breached the rules then?
What?
Who breached the rules then?
Nobody. I'm just saying. I've not made all the rules up yet. I'm still working on it.
Okay.
So
I'm going to bring David on screen for you. So I'm going to substitute Mark.
We now have the first speaker against the motion, who is Mr. Gareth Davis. Are you there, Gareth?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, ready.
Now, seeing as there have been some issues with Mark's team in the past, I just want to make very clear, do you know what side you're on?
I do.
Just checking, for Mark's sake more than anything. All right then, Gareth, your 5 minutes starts... Oh, hang on.
Here we go.
It starts... as soon as I can fix my computer. Now.
Right. That great build-up. Here we go. I haven't prepared any statistics. I haven't read any books to look at attendances or points because for me that's a load of nonsense. In sport, greatness is defined by achievement and accomplishment. And for me, There is no better achievement or accomplishment in any sport than being the champion of your regulation, league, season, or whatever. That means that you have been the best teams over a certain amount of games, a long period of 30, 40 games, 20, however many. Not just winning, rounds in a cup where things can happen on the day which can get you to that cup final or not, as the case may be. You talk about Wembley. Wembley has lost, I don't know, its mojo, its prestige, everything. The grand final.
Oh, my pie.
Go on.
What are you talking about? You're talking about winning the League Leaders' Shield at the minute and basically saying that the playoff system is flawed, just like the Challenge Cup is. I mean, you're just adding to our argument. Carry on. I'm enjoying it.
No.
Stuart Minnis, Mark.
I know it's sabotaging again.
If you've got to the grand final, if you've won the grand final, you have been the best team over the course of the 28 or however many rounds we play. You haven't just won 5 games in the final. No, you're not speaking now. No, enough. So, Wembley, and you say about defining moments at Wembley. Does no one remember Jason Robertson's try in '98? Everyone forgotten about that? No one remembers that. Yes, they do. I can see people nodding.
Gareth, this is your menacing behaviour warning.
Look, I'm saying that the grand final is the pinnacle of rugby league in the UK. Let's look at the NRL. The NRL don't have a Challenge Cup final. We always say how we should do. We look at the NRL and what they do and how successful they are. They don't have a Challenge Cup. I personally think the game will be better if it does have a stronger Challenge Cup. But we're not going to arrest that decline. It's declined too much now. I don't think you'll ever get it back because Wembley isn't a suitable venue anymore. The competition. You said that there's so many different winners, so many different teams have played in the final. Why is that? Because it's not the priority anymore. If you said to Adrian Lamb, what's the priority? Winning the Challenge Cup final or winning the grand final? I guarantee you say it's winning the grand final. Wembley's just a day out now, and it's not even the day out for the fans. It used to be the day out for the fans, but it's not because we have that ridiculous magic concept now, which they ought to abolish that as well. There's your next debate, Matt. Talk about the magic. We'll abolish that as well while we're at it. How much longer have I got left?
Got about 2 minutes.
Right, pull my pie. Let me help you out here.
Go on then.
You're talking utter rubbish. Like you've not prepared. You've not got any statistics. You say that statistics. Honestly, some statistics would have helped you out here. Get in touch with Donald Trump. He'll help you. But all what you've done is made an argument about how a league is better than a cup competition, and all what you're doing is adding an argument to the fact that the playoff system and a cup competition isn't that good. Therefore, the Super League isn't good. You're saying that first past the post should get the Super League trophy. Therefore, you wouldn't play it. Pretty much.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that at all. So if you get to a grand final, you haven't been the best side across the whole season. You haven't been one of to get in the playoffs. You haven't consistently been one of the best sides. Where did Catalans finish? Where did Catalans? No.
Go on, David, get in.
Where did Catalans finish in the league last year? Where did Catalans finish in the league last year? Yeah, they won the Challenge Cup final. Were they the best side over the course of the season? No, they weren't. Wigan were the best side over the course of the season, and they quite rightly ran the grand final. Yeah, we were because we won the grand final. We were the best side.
We need longer, Matt. I need to hold my pie.
No, you're not allowed to.
It's all right. I'll address this at the beginning of mine. Fill some time.
Do you want me to play the piano for you to save some time?
Why no? I'm waiting for you. You said hold my pie. I'm waiting for you to come.
No, Gareth, it's you. You heard the moo. It's just you.
Right, yeah. So to finish, I feel that the grand final is worth far more than Wembley, and going forward, that will not change. And as I said,
and when you hear the cock, it's time to stop.
Oh, dear.
Okay. Gareth, I'm not convinced you did your homework, to be honest. We now have the second...
That was savage. Savage.
Good luck, Mark.
We now have the second speaker for the motion, which is Mr. David Bailey. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Your 5 minutes starts now.
Okay, so a win at Wembley is worth 2 at Old Trafford. There's so many different subjects that you can use for this one, but the first one that I'm going to use is the actual prize money. Prize money at Wembley is far more lucrative than the grand final itself, something that Ian Lenigan references quite regularly. I think last season the grand final winners Wigan got £100,000, and Challenge Cup winners got £500,000. So straight away, literally it's worth 5 times more if you're going to go down that route. But that's not the main point of it. The main point of it for me is the occasion itself. The Challenge Cup final against Old Trafford. It's one of those where the Challenge Cup final is a day out. It's an experience. And yeah, I appreciate your points where you're saying it might not have the same spectacle as it has done in the past, but it's still there. It's still a day out. You're still getting up early in the morning, getting the coaches, the trains, the cars, whatever. It's still more of a memorable day than Old Trafford itself. You go to Old Trafford, it's 20 minutes down the road. It's an evening kickoff, so you're just kind of waiting for the day to progress, whereas Wembley's...
Hold my pie.
Go on.
It's about 5 or 6 hours for me.
Well, okay, fair enough. Probably
At least.
I'm not going to use that one. From Wigan.
How far away is Michael McIntyre?
Oh, damn.
Never far away. Never far away from Gareth. So Old Trafford itself is just it's an evening kickoff. It's 20 minutes. There's not as much of an occasion about it either. The grand final is more about the 2 clubs that are there rather than the whole festival. I know you said it's been sort of overtaken a little bit with Magic Weekend where all the teams are playing, but you still see more of a smattering of shirts from other clubs. It's something that's celebrated. It's something that you look back in time. You're on about the tries, and you're on about Jason Robinson's grand final try, which is fine, but you can list literally even not just Wigan tries in Challenge Cup finals. You go back and you look at the Steve Prescott's from Bobby Goulding's bombs, the sort of historic tries and moments and occasions.
Hold my pie.
Go on.
Rob Burrows' try for Leeds against St Helens. Did we not all think that was amazing? And is that not played over and over again? If we went through all the grand finals, there's as many moments in those years. Obviously, the Challenge Cups had more finals.
Yeah, there is more finals. But again, if you're going back to Wigan as well with the history of the Challenge Cup, you look at how intrinsically Wigan have been linked with Wembley. 1929 winning the first ever Challenge Cup final at Wembley. Obviously, the successful, the 8 in a row. And even from a negative perspective, losing to Sheffield Eagles in the Challenge Cup final at Wembley, it's an iconic moment in the sport. You just don't seem to get that, as Sean alluded to earlier, you don't seem to get that with the grand final. It tends to be Wigan, Saints, Leeds, Bradford, and that's it. And then obviously Warrington and Hull have had a pop and not succeeded. So for me, the Challenge Cup has something extra about it. And you reference about Australia not having a Challenge Cup final, which again is great, but you speak to any of the Aussies or Kiwis that have come over and won, Brett Kenny, Peter Sterling, Graham West, all these players, and they thrive off Wembley. And granted, the grand final wasn't around for those guys, but it's something that a lot of Australian and Kiwi players look forward to. Jeff Lima getting the Lance Todd Trophy. Players love going to the Challenge Cup final.
Hold my pie.
Go ahead.
I'll ask you one thing then. Why do the attendances drop so alarmingly? If your view is the populist view of rugby league fans, then why is there not 90,000 for every Challenge Cup final? Why is it not a sellout weeks and weeks in advance? When the grand final...
Because austerity screwed the North over and none of us can afford to get down there for these high prices that they have to charge for that stadium.
Yeah, just going back on, obviously, I've heard the moo, so it's just me. Doesn't rhyme that much, but the attendances is not just something. The attendances is something which can be linked to everything. You know, you look at Wigan's attendances, and when they come to the playoff games, they drop off dramatically because people, you know, the 10,000 or so season ticket holders have to pay, and they'll pick and choose the games when it gets towards the end of the season. I think the attendances at the grand final, you know, you see the top tiers last season against Warrington, you know, empty seats in certain elements of it, and, you know, the last few grand finals. I think attendances is something that hopefully will be addressed with the, you know, with the new with the Super League launch now and everything that seems to be all the activity that's going in. You know, we've got some really ambitious plans for the World Cup coming up with the stadiums they've chosen as well. But it's going to be, I think it's a problem with rugby league in general, not specifically the Challenge Cup.
And when you hear the cock, it's time to stop. Mark, can I just point out that you were slightly guilty of menacing behaviour there?
I was actually trying to get Gareth out of a corner because I feel like we needed to be more relatable as a team to the mostly Northern audience that's going to be watching.
Just off screen now, and he just looks so relaxed and pleased with himself. But I don't think he knows. Still doesn't know what's happening. Hi, Gareth.
Okay then. So, Mark, you're our final speaker, Mark. Are you ready for your 5 minutes? Well, are you? Good. Yeah. It starts now.
Although I am obviously arguing the same proposition as Gareth, I'm coming at it from a slightly different point of view. I think the one point of the proposition that makes no sense to me is that a win at Wembley is twice as good as a win at Old Trafford. I'd say we've got 3 domestic trophies, haven't we? And all of them should be applauded and celebrated. Take note, St. Helens players. All of them should be celebrated because each of them are a great achievement. The Cup, yes, it requires you to raise your game for a number of one-off pressurised games where winner takes it all. Some of them might be against lesser opposition, and you get to play at our national football stadium. So that's really cool. And then the League Leaders Shield, that requires you to be consistently good throughout the season, home away against all the sides. So again, something worth celebrating. The grand final requires a mixture of both. You've got the combination of consistency to get to the playoff dance in the first place, and then, you know, you've got to be at your best week after week in that short burst at the crunch time when everyone's carrying injuries to play in a quick succession of games against the other best sides. And then what that all results in is you being champions, which, you know, Gareth emphasised that word, and I think he's right to. At the end of the day, the winner of the grand final are the champions. And let's all talk for a second about the game next month in February that we're all absolutely buzzing and excited for. And that game, you don't get to go in to play that game if you win at Wembley. You get to play that game if you win at Old Trafford. So if you talk about numbers and cash prizes and, hey, let's throw in this extra prize you get of the World Club Challenge. And do you know what? That's when we get to add to these 4 stars in February after winning a grand final. That's my opening shout. If anyone wants to hold a pie, I think I've
carry on. I'm enjoying it.
I'm going to hold my pie. What relevance is the fact that Wembley's the national football stadium? Why did you emphasise the fact that
it's a national
stadium?
Rugby League stadium as well? What my pie?
It is not, though, is it? We're not playing.
What's Old Trafford?
Well, Old Trafford is where the
ground.
Old Trafford is where the Rugby League World Cup final is going to be played, which I think is fantastic. And if it's good enough for the best team in the world, it's good enough for the best team in the country. That's for sure. I don't want to belittle.
I'm pretty sure we've had World Cup finals at Wembley as well.
Yeah, hold my pie here,
I don't want to belittle old Wembley.
Wembley is the Rugby League's national stadium. We have a statue outside.
I don't want to belittle Wembley. I love the day trips to Wembley. I think everything you were saying, David, about the day trips were fantastic as well. But the point is, a day trip doesn't make it twice as good as winning the grand final. I have great days out in Manchester for the grand final as well. We have a big Super League pod meet up. Last year we got to watch the women win in the afternoon and then the men win in the evening. That was a fantastic all-day event in Manchester for the grand final.
And next year you'll get to watch the 1895 Cup final. Carry on at Wembley.
Well, okay, solid point.
Same as the women's grand final was.
Only Cup, the Friends of the RFL Cup. No, but Old Trafford is, they are both great stadiums. They are both great days out. The point is, neither is worth twice as much as the other. They all should be celebrated equally because they're all fantastic achievements. And we all need to remember that, a trophy is something to celebrate. And again, I point back to the St. Helens players because they forgot that last year, and I really think that should help me get a leg up in this argument because I'm criticising St. Helens people. So a vote for me is a vote for criticising St. Helens, and you've got to remember that.
That's menacing behaviour, surely.
Oh my
It is
God.
menacing behaviour.
Yeah,
It's no more
relevant.
than the Trumpian behaviour I saw from Sean Lawless earlier on.
Well, I hold my pie. I don't understand the relevance that St. Helens forgot. Can you explain that?
They didn't celebrate the League Leaders' Shield win last year, did they?
Okay.
You've heard the move.
Remember.
Speaker,
Yeah,
it's just
James
two.
Roby was like, won the trophy, don't care. And then they didn't win another one. To be honest, I don't really have much else to say. I think just to recap, none of the trophies are worth twice as much as the other trophies. We should really be celebrating each and every one of them. And when we talk about the extra bonuses of winning one, yes, £500,000 is more than £100,000. The profits from the grand final get shared amongst the profit go to the RFL. So Wigan benefit even when we're not in a grand final financially. So that's a positive. And then on top of that, we get to try and add to our 4 stars in February this year, which we're all absolutely excited about. Play the cock.
There's your quote for next week's.
I only play the cock when it's time to play the cock. Thank you very much. We've now had 2 speakers for and 2 speakers against. So now we're going to do our 35 seconds shot clock summary, which last time was 30 seconds because I got it wrong. Everybody knows a shot clock is 35 seconds. So first up with the first shot clock summary.
Are we doing scrums or dropouts?
Oh, hang on. Scrums are 35 seconds, aren't they?
I thought it was a minute. I'm delighted that it's only 35 seconds.
Classic
seconds.
Fake news from our president in the corner.
Sean, are you ready for your 35-second shot clock summary?
I am, yeah.
Okay. Ready? Right, that's more menacing behaviour from you two. Stop it. Ready? Steady. Go.
Okay, so just to make the point that I was trying to make before, within 35 seconds, there was only 15,000 people less at the Challenge Cup final last year than there was at the grand final between Wigan and Warrington, who are only 20 minutes down the road, and Perpignan's a lot further away from London. Anyway, the simple fact within 35 seconds, at Wembley, I can guarantee you more points. I can guarantee you a wider variety of teams, more value for money, more history, more prestige, more people watching in the ground and on telly. A little bit debatable, I know, but who's counting? There's more bars in the ground, and you can drink at your seat.
No, you've got to stop. You heard the cock. That is when you stop.
£9 a pint. Value for money.
Okay. And Gareth, are you ready with your shot clock summary?
I am, yeah.
Okay. Ready, steady, go.
Right, as I said earlier, greatness in any sport is defined by accomplishment, and there is no bigger accomplishment in any sport than being crowned champions of the league, because it means you've been the best team over the course of a season, and in rugby league that means you've got to the playoffs and then you've won the grand final. The Challenge Cup is a one-off cup competition where teams can get lucky, they can get through to the final and win it, as is demonstrated by so many different winners over the past few years, as Sean mentioned. Whereas with the grand final, there's only been 3 or 4 teams. And Wigan won the final last year.
Cock. Thank you. So thank you to all 4 speakers. We've now heard both arguments for and against. It's now down to you, the viewers, to take some actual bloody responsibility for once and vote so we can find out who the winner is. So thank you very much for watching this second Wigan Fans TV Mass Debate. Get voting, and goodbye from me, and goodbye, I presume, from everybody else too.